Good morning. As Ken would say, let's tee it up. Psalm 23, read by lifetime friend Dan Heller.
The Song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days.
Tanner Zachary Cutler.
Let us read Mizmor L'Adonai Haaretz Hamelach Edel Yoshev Kihu Al Yamim Yesadav De'al Nehavos Yechonenev Mi Yaleh Da'ar Adonai Ami Yaakov Emekol Kodisho Neki Chapayim Uvar Levav Asher Lao Nasa Lashav Narufi Delau Nibalemim Yisuberach Meishavenai Otedaka Malaisho Zayda Shav Nevak Shefam Yecha Yaakov Ale Tihira Kim Huami Ale Tishta Kiani Elohecha Imatzticha Afazarticha Aftemachticha Demiyin Tzediki Kalush Yedil Bavi So never be the חכי אלוהים ליהודה. Hoylech mefouel tzedek, that oy veremes beledo. La irugal al sheno, la yaso. נשמע להורא ולאו ימים. כספו לא ינוסן בנשך, ושחד אל נקי לילה קרוב. Hello, yemot leyalam.
I want to thank all of you. Ken's going to kick me in the butt. I want to thank all of you for attending this memorial service for Ken. I appreciate those who are watching via Zoom as well. Ken would have been thrilled to see so many of the loved ones that he cherished. I also want to thank the pallbearers, Steve Howard, Mike Cohn, Jake Camlett, Steve Ingvar, and Dylan. It's just a few weeks back that Ken and I joked about growing old together and sitting on the patio reminiscing about our lives. His life was cut short. And I'll just say what everyone's thinking, this isn't okay. I want to share some of the things I knew about Ken, things that he shared with me over the years that were deep in his soul. Morgan, Sheridan, and Dylan, together as a group, individually on your own, each one of you were Ken's everything. Ken told me on a regular basis that the three of you were his greatest accomplishment in life, and he was the most proud of that. Peggy, Ken loved you so much. He was so grateful for you and knew he was blessed to be able to be with you.
I was too.
He told me all the time that he looked forward to seeing your smile every day. Lori, You never forgot that Ken was the father of your children. And without him, there wouldn't be Morgan, Sheridan, and Dylan. Through thick and thin, your actions always reflected that. Perhaps now might be a good time to tell you a few untold stories about Ken. Ken was one of the smartest people I knew. His head for business was unparalleled. He could approach a business question from various angles, many of which most people would never have even thought of because they didn't have the ability or intelligence that Ken had. Ken, Steve Ingvar, and I were the three musketeers. We would go golfing and laugh so hard at the most ridiculous things. It never failed that one or even more of us would be falling on the ground in laughter. We definitely had the ability to crack each other up. I remember when the first Top Gun movie came out, Ken decided at that very moment he wanted to be a fighter pilot. Because he needed glasses, he started doing eye exercises every day to strengthen his eyes because he knew that was a requirement. Eventually, Ken saw the light and realized that wasn't going to be an attainable career. I remember when Ken, Steve, and I would chase each other in our cars through our respective neighborhoods and then race to see who would arrive first at whoever home base we had designated for the night. Yeah, probably wasn't the smartest of ideas. I remember when Ken, Steve, and I almost got arrested in Israel on the IST trip, and for, of all things, jaywalking. While we tried to act cool, we weren't delighted about the prospect of being thrown in an Israeli jail. Thank goodness our counselor talked to them in Hebrew and convinced them to let us go. In case you're wondering, lesson learned, we never jaywalked again. Oh, so many stories could have been told. Our tradition was to get together for Broncos and CU games. Ken would be the armchair quarterback, and Steve and I, the analysts. Always convinced we knew more than the coach did, and that it should have been one of us on the sidelines, guiding the team to a victory, or more often, to losing. But even the football games, losses, were okay because we were together. Sometimes Dylan would join us, and he would just shake his head at our ridiculousness. But he couldn't help being entertained by Ken's and our antics. Ken had some really good friends in the most recent of years that were so important to him. The late Charlie Schneider. Ken was devastated when Charlie died, and his loss was profound. Mike Gray, you were such a good friend to Ken. He spoke often about you and truly valued your friendship. Then there are his primaries. A Ken coined term. You all know who you are. Say no more. These are the friends who have been around for so many years. Even though we could not always be together, we knew we were there for each other. And your attendance today is what shows our lasting loyalty to Ken and each other. Ken left you. The memories are too many to count over 48 years of friendship. But Ken was by my side the entire time. Ken had his struggles, but even with them, he was a constant in my life. and I always had my back. I'm grateful to have had him for as long as I did. Some people go through their entire life never having the blessing of having the kind of friend that Ken was to me. I'm unable to process what life would be like without him. And without him calling me and saying, hey, Shmoo. Morgan, Sharon, and Dylan, I love you. And I'm here for however and whenever you need me. Kenny B. Thank you for being you and for being my friend. I love you and will miss you all the days of my life. Rest in peace, my brother. I now call upon Steve Ingvar.
In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember that. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember that. In the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember that. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember that. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember that. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. For they are now a part of us, as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we crave to share, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us, as we remember.
I now call upon Dylan Bernstein, Ken's son.
I guess that's probably a good idea. Okay. I just want to say on behalf of my entire family, I want to thank everyone who's here and everyone who's joined the resume and all those who sent their condolences. My dad was my confidant, my friend, my financial advisor, my accountant, and my mentor. He was the person I would call when I needed guidance at any time, day or night. And his soothing voice and advice is what I'll miss the most. I'm going to miss him saying, "How's my boy?" every time I would talk to him. My dad was an extremely accomplished businessman and had the resume I can only dream to have. He worked for the NASD, then was an investigator for the Securities and Exchange Commission. He was the chief compliance officer for the investment banking firm Chatfield Dean and was president and CEO of an acquisition corporation that acquired health and beauty companies in the US and the UK. One of my favorite things to do was to pick his brain about business. My dad was my soccer coach growing up. I saw JT over there. JT was on that team, the Fireballs. But it's important to let everyone know that my dad never played soccer. And I don't think he had ever even watched a soccer game. He created a game called Tiptoe Through the Tulips. You remember that? Okay. Where one player on the team had to avoid the rest of the team kicking soccer balls at them as hard as they could. It was everyone's favorite game. I don't know how that translated to on the field, but my dad was the funniest person I knew. He loved to keep a joke going as long as possible to squeeze out every last laugh. There was never a waiter that was safe from one of my dad's jokes. You were the best dad I could have ever asked for. I'm going to miss you more than I could ever put into words. I love you, Dad.
Frank Hunter's going to come up and say a few words on behalf of Morgan and Sheridan.
This is from Morgan. I feel so lucky to have been loved by my dad. He always said that his children were what he was most proud of and would call me after each time we got together to remind me. Everything he did was rooted in trying to protect my sister, brother, and myself in one way or another. He just wanted to make sure we were treated fairly by this often cruel world and that we were on a path that brought us happiness. Anyone that knew my dad knew his sense of humor. He was sarcastic and loved a good dad joke. I remember being no more than 6 years old, and he loved having us repeat after him, Awa, Tana, Siam. At 6, I didn't realize we were repeating the phrase, oh, what an ass I am. But it made my dad laugh, which made me laugh because his laugh was so illuminating. My dad was also an excellent chef and loved to eat good food. He made the best green chili and was a chili relleno connoisseur. It always made me laugh when I would hear his footsteps in the kitchen late at night because he needed a midnight snack. It was a piece of sourdough toast and butter. I am my father's child because I always find myself when I'm not able to fall asleep without the same to tiptoe in the kitchen for a late night treat, which is often a piece of sourdough and butter. In high school, my dad gave me the book 4 Agreements. On the inside of the cover, he wrote, to Momo, I am giving you the gift of this book. Please read it. It will help you in finding happiness, peace, and love. I hope it will also give you the wisdom to find forgiveness. Reread when you're sad or life is a struggle. Love always, Dad. I picked up the book today to reread. Dad, I love you, I forgive you, and I hope you are at peace. And this is from Sheridan. Dad, it's hard to believe you are gone. It feels like any second you are going to call me, ask me how I'm doing, and whether you can drop off some of my favorite goodies just because. Everyone that knew you knew how much you loved us and that you would do anything for us. I always felt like I had a particularly special bond with you. I remember as a toddler, you would put my car seat in your pink convertible. And this is a sidebar. Sheridan called it pink, but Ken would always correct her and say it was called champagne bronze. You would then blast If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow. That was our song, and whenever it came on, you would look at me and I could tell how much happiness it filled you with. You were my biggest fan, and you could never let a conversation go on without telling me how proud you were of me and how much you loved and adored me. I wish I could hug you one more time and express to you how much you mean to me and how much you've shaped the woman I am today. And most importantly, how much I love you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, as many of you are already aware, it is our obligation to perform this mitzvah, this commandment to bury our own. It is a hesed shalamet. It's an act of loving kindness. It's the greatest act of loving kindness because Ken can no longer do anything for us. We are only doing for him. It is our obligation to pull the shovel out of the earth. Many of us will just take a few on the back side and place it in. Then you're also welcome to turn it over and help build the grave. We'll invite you as soon as the family is done. We'll line up on both sides. And then when you're done, just place the shovel back into the earth pile.
Yeah. I'm gonna go straight to you. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Who are you looking for?
My other daughter.
Right behind you.
Behind
you. She snuck in.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll invite you to come forward.
They don't cut it anymore? Or they cut it?
You don't cut your shirt, do you? We'll use the ribbon.
You're gonna go up there?
I'm going to try. We have all.
Can you help me with that? I'm right here. Oh, there she is. Rosetta. I'll take that. Kenny. Oh, yeah.
Sam.
Oh, my. How you feeling? See, that thing came out, but it works.
Okay, Jim.
We're already pre-cut. You guys will stand up with Sam. Peggy, will you stand up? Ribbon. We worked around here. Symbolic of tearing apart. We're going to rip this because this is something to do with physical beings here. We're going to rip this. Just like fabric, you can sew the hair. Yep, that's it. Now just rip from the bottom. Yep, you do it. Just up a little bit. Peggy, cottage.
Okay.
It looked.
Say that again. Oh, yeah, that's who you are. Damn. There's so much When I was there, I would have been there. This is your friend?
Yeah, yeah. That's my. JT.
Once I changed color, my school, and then
Yeah. Are you ever coming back?
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he's been in a nursing home because he suffered a stroke. Was that 6 years ago? So.
Oh, that's been a long time.
You never met him?
No, I think I took passport. Long ago. I remember you when you were. I remember
I remember when I was little, I'd go over to stay with Dylan, and he was with him. Yeah, he used to have a Hummer. Do you know the Hummer? He used to have a big. He was always telling me. He was always very kind to me. It's really sad when it happened. Three children.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can reconvene, we have just two more prayers before we can conclude the service. Oh, sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to conclude the service in just a minute and have you reconvene.
Oh, yeah.
Before we conclude with the final prayers, I'd like to announce the family will welcome you at Faggy's home, which is 13620 East Evans Avenue. There are handouts that will have that address, but what's most important, ladies and gentlemen, is that you cannot park in the parking lot. Please park on the street. They have very strict parking, so please park on the street. Peggy will and the family will be there following this service from about 5 p.m. till 8:30, and we'll have a minion service starting roughly at 8 p.m. One last announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Some have asked if the house is kosher. It is not, so you can send whatever food you want.
Shochem Amroni Hametz Menufenechona Kam Yashina the Mahalos Kedoshim O Tawarim Kezawar Haragia Maz Shema Yitzchak ben Yosef She'ala le'olamo Gan Eden, Kahai Menachasau, Lochein Ba'al Hu Rachamim, Yasireyehu, Beseiser Yenarav, Le'yovo Elamim. Yitzroir, Yitzroir Achayim, Es Nishemuso, Adonai, Ho Nachaloso, Le'yonuach, the shalom. Neshitavo. and now am I. Amen.
Me too, I'm sure. I don't have one of those things.
It's a brief thing.
Because people know they're coming by. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can invite you to make 2 rows facing one another as the family leaves, they will pass through this as a corridor of comfort. So 2 rows right through here. Here all day.
Where's the line?
You know what?
Color? That's okay.
Thank you all for coming.